Imagine that you lose everything you have ever gained: wealth, connections, advancements. The next day, when you wake up, how would you react? Could you cope with it? For many, the thought of losing everything you have strived so hard to achieve is horrifying and devastating for your career. But for an entrepreneur, this is a daily challenge. Robert Kiyosaki, the man behind the famous book Rich Dad Poor Dad, not only knows what this feels like, but has been in this exact position. He once said, "You wake up tomorrow morning and you're on the street and you have nothing. You don't have a single contact in your network. All you have is your knowledge and expertise that you've had throughout your career. How do you build up from there?" Well, I've been there many times, so it's no big deal. You just figure out what's needed and wanted, and you go do it. One thing that entrepreneurs share is that they don't give up. They'll change the rules. They'll create new ones. Robert Kiyosaki expands by saying, they don't accept one answer. So for a true entrepreneur, it doesn't matter which country you're in. Entrepreneurship is a mindset first, a skill set, and rules. And depending on whether you're an employee or a small business, the roles are different. The mindsets are different. The skill sets are different. Robert thinks that to be the entrepreneur you were born to be, you must realize that you must be ready to face the lows and the highs and constantly be learning to stay ahead. He also said, "So I see life as learning and constantly learning. I'm always ready, studying. I spend most of my time with entrepreneurs. I don't spend my time with people who whine about the economy, so nothing will really change. I will just go back to being an entrepreneur." The first tip is to rewire your brain. We often believe that we cannot change or adapt the way our brains work, but on the contrary, with a simple shift of mindset, it opens up a whole world of possibilities. Robert Kiyosaki once describes the human brain. "I want a good pension. I want medical benefits." That's your brain. I can't help. They're going to change the brain. Yeah, because the economy happens between the left and the right ears. That's where the economy happens, and in your heart and in your guts. Kiyosaki suggests that our mindset can influence our perception of the economy and our potential to succeed. By changing our mindset, we can see more opportunities and possibilities that we might have missed before. Instead of being limited by our brain's desires and fears, we can be motivated by our heart's passion and courage. This can help us overcome the challenges and uncertainties that we face in the economy and in our entrepreneurial journey. The second tip is to use debt to get ahead. This may seem like a contradiction. How can debt help you get ahead? As Robert explains, you have to have the right kind of debt that works for you instead of one that is basically just a bill. Robert Kiyosaki differentiates good debt and bad debt by saying there is good debt and bad debt. Again, it goes back to the financial statement: income, expense, asset, liability. So debt falls here. So if you say, "I'm going to buy," everyone says, "I'm going to buy a house." Most people say, "My house is an asset." That's not true. Your house is a liability. It doesn't matter if you have no debt on it or not, a house is a liability. Same as if you have a car, the car is a liability. The reason for that is, as we mentioned before, the 6 words that are the foundation of financial education and financial intelligence: income, expense, asset, liability, and the 2 other words are cash flow. Robert Kiyosaki expands. So, when you look at the average person, they have a job. Money comes in here, they pay for their house, and the money goes to a bank through a mortgage. So it's not an asset because the cash is flowing out. So it's a liability. The definition of liability is, does it take money out of your pocket? And for an asset, does it put money in your pocket? Kiyosaki describes this by saying, "So when I have a property that I rent out here, it gives me money. So if I live in a house, it's a liability, because even if I have no debt on it, I still have taxes, depreciation, repairs and upkeep, insurance and all this. When I rent out a property, if I have done a good job buying it and structuring it every month, it sends me money. Robert Kiyosaki explains how he started investing in real estate with a small condo that gave him positive cash flow. He says he now owns 6,500 houses that generate income for him every month. He calls this good debt because it pays for itself and puts money in his pocket. Third tip is to find mentors. A mentor who can support you in difficult times, teach you about your field, and help you reach your full potential is a crucial part of achieving success. This is one of the most frequently mentioned tips, but also one of the most important ones. Kiyosaki tells a story about his Sunday school teacher who asked him why the three wise men were wise. He guessed that it was because they were rich or traded commodities, but she said no. He then asked her the answer, and she said that she did not know. He concluded that what made them wise was that they always looked for the best teacher. And the last tip is don't work for money. It seems odd to hear this in a video that teaches you how to get rich and successful. You need money to be wealthy, right? Well, actually, you might be failing financially because you care too much about money. Kiyosaki expands by saying, "But when I earn $1 million, I keep $1 million. And the reason is because I don't get it by working for money. So if you work for money, you're taxed. So that's why the first lesson in Richmond is the rich don't work for money." Robert Kiyosaki explains how he makes money as an entrepreneur and as a real estate investor and how he avoids paying taxes. He says he does not invest in the stock market, but rather uses his business income to leverage bank loans and buy more properties. He says he loves banks, but he also acknowledges that they are hurting other people. He says, "What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. I don't invest in the stock market. So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as an investor in real estate, I pay zero tax. So every time I make, let's say $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invest it in real estate. I have a 4-to-1 step up. So I put $1 million in real estate. That's why I love banks. But the banks are screwing everybody else, you know? Terrible. But it's good for me." These are some great tips from Robert Kiyosaki that can help you achieve positive cash flow and get rich. What do you think? Which tip do you like most from Robert? Do you agree with them or no? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with our latest uploads.